You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And this was a very interesting weekend, this President's Day weekend for theaters in America. We long discussed the lead up to this weekend for the debut of Captain America: Brave New World. It had been savaged by, I'll call them critics. It was review bombed by a lot of trolls, obviously, who had not seen the movie. And despite that, Captain America: Brave New World garnered $200 million worldwide. $200 million in its first weekend. And it's an estimate because the full numbers for Monday are not in. Those just an estimate for Monday. It did about 100 million domestically, maybe 95 million or so internationally, just remembering off the top of my head. And I say that to say, even though the movie was pre-criticized because really no one had seen it, even though there was a lot of hate for Anthony Mackie as being a quote-unquote black Captain America, not knowing the history of the Captain America character and how this pretty much is straight from the comics, and not knowing that the movie addresses everything which everyone was saying about the movie, and the pressure of not only him carrying the mantle of Captain America, but also the character of Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. It was very, very insightful because it was basically speaking to America about America and how people were going to look at him differently in the way that the trolls and critics were already negatively looking down upon him before they had even seen the movie. But the people have spoken. It's the most widely viewed Captain America movie that been for so far in its first weekend of all, better than any Chris Evans movie. Period, point blank, in a story.
Yep. No, this one came in beating out even Captain America Civil War.
With fewer theaters.
And Civil War was one of the most anticipated MCU movies to date because it was essentially another Avengers film, and it had the Avengers facing off against each other, and it had the introduction of Spider-Man, and still, with all of the hate going into it, this film triumphed over even those numbers. And it's not to say that Civil War wasn't stellar or still one of my favorite films out of every Marvel film, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This film just excelled in spite of.
Now, what happens is people are probably not going to acknowledge it. I said it wasn't a great movie. Content-wise, I saw this for a second time yesterday, and since I was not tired, and also we were in a smaller theater, and I was closer to whatever the sound system was, I heard more of the dialogue, some that I actually missed in the first movie. I appreciated it more, caught more of the Easter eggs, the subtleties of the character dialogue, facial expressions, little things like that, maybe appreciate it more. I think in the long view of history, this movie will be much more appreciated down the road than it is now. In the same way, and I give credit to you, Twala, reminding me that the movie now, which is thought to be the best MCU movie of all time, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, was not well received when it first came out.
It was not. It was not a successful film at the box office at all. And it wasn't because people thought it was too serious. They thought it was too political.
I've always appreciated the serious tonality of that movie, and I always wanted Marvel to return to that series because it got so silly with Thor: Love and Thunder, even Thor Ragnarok. It was moving down this place, moving to this place of everything needed to be a joke or a one-liner, where Captain America: Winter Soldier was a much more grounded story with political intrigue, and there was also international subterfuge. It just had all the classical elements of a thriller, which happened to have enhanced individuals. And this movie talks about the geopolitical repercussions of something that's going on. I don't want to give away too much, which could lead to an actual world war. And even though it may deal with some fantastical elements and people, you understood the underlying political fault lines. It just made sense.
What I love the most about this film, and even about Anthony Mackie, the actor stepping up into an EP role, executive producing this film to help see it come to fruition, is that this film, love it or hate it, is the anchor for this next phase of the entirety of the MCU. Everything that happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward stems from this film. This is the jump on point for anyone who wants to know about what's about to happen. This film sets it up. This film sets up the search for the next Avengers. This film sets up the next big bad thing that is coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This film was important for all types of reasons, on both seen on screen that were implicit and those that were in the underlying story that was being told.
Now, I know that Mark Ronner and I were closer to the review or feeling about the movie. Mark, do you think you'll see it again to give it a second shot, or are you pretty settled in your thought about it?
No, a movie that I wouldn't see again because it sucked would be something like The Eternals. I'll see Captain America: Brave New World again. I think that I didn't love it as much as Tuwala. I thought it was kind of not their best, not their worst, just a decent middle movie. And it does set up a lot of things. And you can't view it. It's not a starter movie. It's not an entry-level movie. So you've got to see at least 3 or 4 other things to even make sense of it. I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to go see this stuff one way or the other. It's not my favorite, but of course, at some point I'll watch it again.
And that's something I think people need to not lose sight of. Each successive Marvel movie has more obstacles to overcome, if only because, to your point, Mark, the entry point is such that there's required reading to appreciate a lot of the movies. You have to know the character backstories. You have to know the MCU big picture backstory. You can't walk into Captain America: Brave New World and not know what happened in Infinity War and Endgame to know how Sam Wilson got the shield. You have to know why there are no Avengers now. You have to have seen the Incredible Hulk back in 2008 to understand the events in this particular movie. For me, I've seen all the movies. It makes sense. All the Easter eggs, all the threads. Great. But I can't assume that everyone has.
Yeah, there are two sides to that coin. On one hand, if you're a nerd, you like all the references. You like seeing some things come to fruition, like characters from that 2008 movie. But if you're just a civilian and you just want to go have an easy couple hours watching a movie, you're not going to know everything that's going on in this. By the way, I absolutely loved Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I see that its final box office total was $714 million. That may not be the all-time highest grossing of the Marvel movies.
It's far from.
Right. But, I mean, it's not an embarrassment either. Like,
it's
like Kraven.
It's not, but those numbers for the MCU proper, because Kraven is a Sony film.
Yeah.
For the MCU proper, 700 million was not a win for them. It just wasn't. And it was looked at as somewhat a failure, and everyone went into Civil War thinking, sure, whatever, because there weren't Winter Soldier became a cult favorite. People who watched it again and again were like, no, dude, you're missing how great this film is because of all the things that they were doing with the character. People went back to explore it with this film for me, and I've seen it now 3.5 times. I say 3.5 because I came in late for the third showing. I like this film more and more every time I watch it because upon rewatching, I see more nuance and subtle things that are being said and done that hit differently when I see the big picture. Watching it this third time, I was like, hey, man, there are a couple of things that offended me greatly that I didn't really see the first couple of times because I was too busy trying to catch Easter eggs or look at action sequences and things like that.
We were in a smaller theaters, more personal. There were fewer people, so there were fewer things competing with our attention, crowd cheering or talking over scenes. We didn't have that. So, yeah, you could hear the dialogue and the subtleties of the dialogue better, I think.
Oh, yeah. I want to know what these things are, but you'll have to tell me off the air so I didn't spoil it for anybody. Unlike Mo, I was awake through the whole movie.
What are you talking about?
I did not record you snoring, but next time I very well may.
That's a rumor. That's slanderous.
No, it's
And
a first-hand witness account. I was right next to you.
You're not saying it under oath, so I know that you'll lie.
You could have
You're
been
not
blowing
understand.
my hair back if I was just right in front of you.
Well, see, that's the defamatory in nature, and I expect better.
It's
of you.
not defamatory because it's true.
No,
you
you
could
can't prove it.
polygraph me and
you
it would
sure?
be true.
You
Yes,
sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, all right. Well, it's your word against mine.
But my word holds more weight since you're the one who was asleep.
No, you allege.
You weren't awake.
You allege I was asleep, but I know I was not asleep. Do you have any other corroborating evidence?
Well, let's see. I believe Tuala was sitting on the other side of you,
Your Honor,
and also noticed
Your Honor,
it.
that's hearsay.
No, it's
So he's
another
trying
witness.
to testify for Tuala.
It's another first-hand witness.
It was so loud.
KFI AM 640. We're live
Damn
everywhere.
you.
The iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And you know, I love cruises. I converted Tuala to fall in love with cruises. Mark Ronner is not going to happen. We'll see about Stefan. But there are a lot of questions that I usually get from people who've never been on a cruise as far as what their real experience is like. It's billed as something which is very luxurious or all sorts of fun. But what is it really? Well, there are some crazy parties among cruisers. You know, there are groups who get together and get the freak on. There are groups who are just friends and they want to just have a good time. Old, young. Some cruises cater to children or families, I should say. And there are some cruises which say, no, we don't want kids. We offer a more adult experience. But the questions that I would get and other people get as far as what can you bring on a cruise ship, some of the questions are pretty ridiculous and outlandish, and some are pretty insightful because it's a real question. And a question that I saw in this article is one that I've heard from other people as far as what you can and can't bring on a cruise ship. Mind you, it varies from cruise line to cruise line, the subtleties. But there are people who have wondered, can you bring an iron on a cruise ship? No, you're not supposed to. And if they find it, like when they're cleaning your stateroom, they'll confiscate it. You know, can you bring on marijuana because it's legal in California? No, you can't. It's illegal in international waters. So if they find it, they'll confiscate it, and it's possible that you'll be detained or at least put off the ship. But other people have asked, can you bring sex toys, battery-operated sex toys? Because some types of batteries are not allowed to travel. Like you can't get on an airplane with a lithium battery in your under your checked luggage because it may explode or catch fire. As far as cruise ships are concerned, Carnival, and I do not love Carnival. I love Royal Caribbean. Carnival and Royal Caribbean are somewhat different. Carnival will cater to the younger crowd. Royal Caribbean caters to a bit more sophisticated, and Virgin Voyages I've yet to try, but I hear is very good. There are no kids on Virgin Voyages. And the ship's general store on Virgin Voyages has a wall of sex toys for sale. I did not know that. We were just talking about, never mind. But if you're wondering, can you sneak one of your own personal sex toys on a cruise? Well, there's some things that you should know and be aware of. It's not explicitly prohibited, but just know that whatever you take on a cruise ship is going to be scanned. And there is a possibility, if it's not clear what the item is when it is scanned, you will have to open up your bag and explain what the object is. And if they're not clear, then you have to demonstrate on some level so they know it is what you say it is.
Okay, I have questions here before you start.
Oh, a lot of people do.
This is important, and you can answer this however delicately you feel like you need to. How thoroughly do they search you for this stuff?
As far as the screening, I think it's more thorough than what you would find at an airport. In other words, they will run your bag a few times. If you have a bottle, they're going to make sure that it hasn't been opened. Like you can bring like one bottle of wine on the ship with you for when you set sail.
That's generous of them. Do they search do they give you the full cavity search?
No, they don't do that. It's not like you have to walk through the scanning machine and put your arms above you and the thing goes around you.
They don't threaten you with an MRI?
No, they don't do that, but you do have to walk through a conventional metal detector.
Oh, okay. That was going to be my question. Like, where do they check it? Because I think of when I check into hotels in Vegas, it's like they're not checking your stuff.
Don't worry, Foosh. The old prison wallet's safe.
No, before you even get on the ship, they have this large setup. It's kind of like if an airport, where you have 4 or 5 lines or people taking the luggage, put it on that same kind of scanner belt, and it goes to the machine. But if you have a sex toy, everyone's going to know. Don't think that you're just going to put it in your bag and no one's going to know. There is a distinct possibility that toy, if it should resemble a body part or something else, there may be a question as to what it is, and depending on who's scanning it, they may verbally question you, and then they may ask you to remove it from the bag, or they will remove it from the bag because they're not going to let you touch the bag. They'll remove it from the bag to see it is what it is. For example, when I put my bags on the conveyor belt, for some reason they said, "Mr. O'Kelly, are you vaping?" I said, I don't vape. I don't smoke. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I don't smoke. I've never vaped. I don't know what you're looking at. Do we have permission to open your bag? And look in the bag. So, I don't know what they thought they were looking at, but it wasn't a vape pen. But just imagine if you had a vape pen in there. Do you want everybody to see your vape pen?
Well, choose carefully when you're packing your, quote, vape pen.
That's right. So, word to the wise. They are not discouraged from being taken on a cruise ship, but just know you're not guaranteed the privacy that nobody will know that you have them on a cruise ship. You might do better to just go ahead and do Virgin Voyages and purchase your toy while on the ship, and no one has to know, with the exception of the person at the register. I don't know what that's like, but that's probably an uncomfortable moment. Yeah, can I have the big thing over there on the wall? No. The big one. The brown one.
Yeah, forcing you to buy the sex toys on the ship is just talk about getting you coming and going. That's just hello.
Get you what?
Come on, Foosh.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. We're going to take that away from you.
But I guess going back to the alcohol, I guess it didn't really make sense because if you get the drink package, you're set for the whole trip, right?
Well, let me tell you about the drink package, and that's what I won't call it a scam, but it's a scam.
Uh-oh.
The drink package, you can get like just sodas and normal soft drinks, beverages. That's one drink package. Twala does a drink. That's what he got. And that allows you, they give you their own special cup. You can go to any of the soda fountains, whatever, and get refills ad infinitum. That's one drink package. Or you can get the all you can drink alcoholic package. And we did that the first couple of cruises, and then you realize you're never going to actually drink that much. You're going to have 7 or 8 drinks in a day. And I tried it, and then you realize, wait a minute, these drinks aren't full strength, because you can't. You would pass out if they were full strength, and then you realize they're watered down to a certain degree. It's the truth. It is. And also because they don't want people too uncontrollably drunk in an atmosphere, in an enclosed situation like that.
How much more does the all-you-can-drink package usually cost?
I think it's about $100 a day. So it depends if you're on a 3-day cruise or a 7-day cruise, if I remember correctly.
What would Hunter S. Thompson do? That's the question you should always ask.
But you don't pay for each individual drink. Once you pay the $100, you scan a card or whatever.
That's like $675. That's an arbitrary amount.
Okay.
And you sign up for that before you get on the ship. Yes, you can buy it when you're on the ship, but it's best you do it beforehand. And it's encoded on your C-Pass. Okay. And it's like a driver's license, has a metal black strip, and they scan it whenever you go, because you're not using money. You don't use money on the ship. You just use your C-Pass card.
And I remember Twala being so excited about that. He's like, wait, really?
Yeah.
You can just take this sandwich?
Whenever you see it, you just take it. You see, eat, drink, whatever. It's a great experience in that way, especially if you're a glutton. Because you can eat as much as you want, you can drink as much as you want, and I guess you can, do whatever you want in your cabin. But just know if you're going to bring a sex toy, there's a good chance that everyone else may find out as well. And that could be a little bit uncomfortable. So they say.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Hey, I meant to ask Stefan for the homework assignment watching Paradise on Hulu.
Yes.
Are you past episode 2?
No, I had a lot of Wi-Fi issues. I couldn't watch anything almost like the whole weekend, so I was pretty bummed out. But I had someone come in today before work, and now it should be working. So I'm definitely going to get back on that horse because I really want to keep. I like I said, I'd probably end up watching all of them that are available because it's
Hey, Mark, you are up to date. I think the next episode drops. I think it's out now. It drops at midnight East Coast time, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, then I got to watch that tonight.
Yeah, I want to do that tonight. And Tuwala, I think, hasn't started yet, but I'm still working on him.
I will, because it sounds exceptionally exciting. I just, I am realistically, I'm like, when I leave here, I don't have like the bandwidth to watch anything. And like when the weekends come, I spent this past weekend watching Brave New World. So it's like, that's about the span of attention I have right now. It's tough watching stuff right now.
All right. Just eventually I need you to turn in your assignment.
I will.
I'm going to fail you all, except for Mark. Mark completed the assignment.
Yeah, it really pains me to admit that you're right about something, but it's a terrific show.
And hopefully, and I said this to Mark, it sticks the landing. It's one thing to be fast out the gate and you have this great setup and character and story development. But if you can't stick the landing, then it's all for naught. It's almost like you have this great gymnastics routine. And literally, as the metaphor goes, if you dismount and you fall on your head, well,
yeah, we're kind of in lost territory with this. If they mess up the ending, then they deserve our enmity for life.
But Lost messed up the ending. I'm not so sure this one season is going to have an ending or just a cliffhanger for the potential second season.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen, and that's thrilling until they screw it up.
Right. And it doesn't take much to lose an audience. Now, they have been, I'll say, artful enough to keep stringing me along in a good way. I think it's going one direction, then all of a sudden it goes in a completely opposite direction. I thought this person was going to do X when in actuality it was Y, and I was not even looking at Y any of the time. So it's had very good misdirection, but believable misdirection.
Yeah, they take like solid. I mean, you just again, I always saw the first one, but they take hard left and right turns where you don't even like. Oh, that's where we're going now. I thought we were going in a completely different direction.
Yes, yeah. And I don't mind that so long as you didn't lie to me along the way, or you make it unbelievable along the way. Don't make it like this person over here did X, Y, and Z when it was absolutely way beyond their capability, their sphere of influence, their intelligence. No, it's not like plot twists for the sake of plot twists. They're just very slowly rolling out the story, and you find that you are making assumptions about characters all your own when there's no reason to, but you are falling into your preconceived notions, and then you get smacked with, hey, you assumed that. We didn't tell you that. You assumed that this character was incapable of X, Y, and Z.
Is it like Lost? I know you've referenced Lost a couple times now. Is it like Lost?
In some respects, especially in the flashbacks, because they've got a linear story, but to make sense of it, they have to go back and look at character, I guess, origins, for lack of a better word.
Right. These characters are together in this situation, and you don't know much about them, so they have to employ the use of flashbacks to give you a fuller sense of who they are and why they are the person they are at this point when we meet them. We don't know about so-and-so in the first episode. Like Stephen said he's seen the first episode. We don't know we know their job titles. We don't know who they are as people. And then you get these relevant flashbacks to slowly bring you up to date, and it's also used to forward the story. It's just one of the best TV shows I've seen in a long time. And I don't like TV shows, if only because more times than not, they reel you in and then they'll get canceled, or you have to wait 2-3 years for the next season. Now, Mark, I'm basically return the favor. He recommended From to me.
Oh,
with Harold Perrineau.
Yeah.
Love it. Binge watched it in like maybe a week or so, all 3 seasons. Now I'm waiting for season 4. It's a very empty feeling where you don't come to the end of the story. You come to a stopping point, and it's different.
I really enjoy From, and I like Harold Perrineau getting to be front and center in something because I've liked him in so many other things over the years, and this is a great role for him. And I may have said this before, Stephen King had nothing to do with it, but it's the most Stephen King show you'll ever see.
It feels that way.
Which one is it on? The stream?
I think it's some
Paramount Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
some side MGM type of thing.
I was say, is it Tubi? Mark?
No, not on Tubi.
Tubi.
No. You were going to say something, Steph, I thought?
No, that I was trying to figure out what streaming service was on because I remember when Amy was still here, she said it was really good too. And I was just like, maybe I should check that one out.
But see, this is a perfect example. You can't get to everything immediately. And sometimes you have just to be in the mood to start something and get into it. Like I went through a real long period. I just wanted action. I just wanted to just escape. I didn't necessarily want a thriller or anything too serious. I wanted to be able to just digest this story, this 2.5 hours, and then move on. And with a series, you kind of dedicating a little bit of your life.
It's a commitment.
For a while. Yeah, it's a commitment.
Yeah, and to Walla's point too, sometimes I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't digest something so where you have to use a lot of your brain power. So it'll usually just be like a rerun. And if I have the energy, then I will check it out. But I totally get where he's coming from.
Yeah, so they're trying to like digest something I have to pay attention to that's on a lost level of commitment as far as following characters. I'm like, look, it sounds spectacular. This is just something that I'm at to watch when I have a vacation and I'm like during the day can sit up and just digest it.
What are you talking about? It's President's Day. It's a holiday. You had something to do today?
I had a few things to do. Yes, I did have a few things to do. It was a very short day.
Act like you're a father and you have another job or something like that.
A whole lot going on.
Golly. Stop being so lazy. Be a little bit more assertive. Didn't your horoscope say something like that? Be more organized.
It's actually said the very next thing you do, make sure you are ready to commit 100% to it or don't do it. So this is
Touché.
Case in point. Yeah.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before we go, I have to tell you about this message I got over the weekend. I sent it out to the fellas so they know about it, but it highlights someone who really listens to the show and knows the show. It comes from Stephanie. She hit me on Instagram. Her Instagram profile is private, so she can, she doesn't have to worry about y'all. Her Instagram profile is Lip Flap Fixer. And she said as follows: please tell Tawala that a Waymo cut me off in Hollywood today. 2 lanes were turning from La Brea into Franklin. I was in the inner lane and the Waymo was in the outer lane. The moment we turned onto Franklin, the Waymo moved into my lane and almost hit me, cutting me off. But because I knew it was driverless, I didn't honk or give it a Mark Ronner single finger salute.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. It's a nice little shout out, nice acknowledgement, call back to everything we discussed on the show. And once again, how these Waymos are dangerous and a menace.
There were a lot out when I was Ubering over the weekend. It just trips me out to know that no one's behind the wheel.
I always look. It's like, is there anyone behind the wheel?
I always have to try to see, and I'm like, damn, there's no one in it. That's a trip. I mean, the one that I was behind, I was in Santa Monica, and it drove like overly safe. Like we were in a neighborhood district or neighborhood area, and it went like no higher than like 27 miles an hour. It stops for a good 2 to 3 seconds at a stop sign, turn signal and everything. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that as I look at the Waymo driving by, you can obviously see into the driver's seat, but the passenger seats, the back seats, the windows are usually blacked out. So you can't see who the passenger is, for better or for worse.
Now, that's when a passenger is in, because when they're driving and there is no passenger, the windows aren't blacked out. So I think it does have that feature. I would like to I'm just wondering aloud, Cheryl Lip Fixer? What is
her name is Stephanie. Her profile is Lip Flap Fixer.
Lip Flap Fixer. I'm wondering if she has ever been cut off just by a person. Or is this just the first time she's ever been cut off while driving ever, and it just so happened to be Waymo. I mean, I don't know why.
She said that she
felt the
would have
need.
honked and she would have given the runner salute, but realized since it was a Waymo, realized that it wouldn't have made any difference and there would have been no acknowledgement.
There's no need to acknowledge this at all, because I am sure, as lovely a woman as Stephanie is, I'm sure she's been cut off before and has been forced to honor.
That doesn't make it better.
Irrelevant or immaterial. This is nothing to say negative about Waymo. I was cut off by Waymo. I'm sure you were cut off by 3 or 4 people last week.
It's dangerous and it's going to get somebody killed.
No, this is not any level of proof in your case against Waymo. It's not. This is ridiculous.
It's dystopian.
That you would go for that.
It's dystopian, and don't think I failed to notice your attempt to turn my name into a verb.
And it's too late. It is.
No.
It already is.
She did herself. This is her.
I'm just reading it, okay? We're there, okay? Embrace the horror.
No, I resist it.
Before we get out of here, here is my final thought. I didn't acknowledge it earlier. You might have heard in the news reports that thousands of people were protesting in Washington, D.C. and all around the country on this being President's Day. People are, quote unquote, angry at President Trump and what Elon Musk are doing. And they're calling this a 50501 movement, which stands for 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. Do you all know what I'm getting ready to say? Can you tell me what I'm getting ready to say? I understand that some people may not support President Trump. I understand the anger intellectually at what Elon Musk is doing and how he has not been elected, how he has not been appointed and also confirmed by the Senate as a member of the cabinet, how he does not constitutionally have any of the powers that he is using right now, be it to look at your personal IRS data or any other data for that matter. I understand why you are concerned. I understand why you're even angry. And quote, this is what one of the organizers said as far as the protest was concerned. To oppose tyranny is to stand behind democracy and remind our elected officials that we, the people, are who they're elected to serve, not themselves. The events over the past month have been built to exhaust us, to break our wills, but we are the American people. We will not break, close quote. It's a nice quote. It's a nice sentiment. But once again, if you actually were paying attention as an informed voter, Donald Trump, the candidate and then former president, told you step by step exactly what he was going to do, that he was going to bring Elon Musk into his administration, that he was going to allow Elon Musk to form DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, that it would not be an official arm of the government, that he was going to empower Elon Musk to root out government waste, quote unquote, wherever that is and however he was going to do it. And he had free reign. He said that before the election. And you know what? You did nothing. You did not show up on election day. You were not there. Either you stayed home or you had a protest vote, a protest of another kind of people like Jill Stein. Maybe you thought, like in 2016, that Donald Trump could not possibly win again, given the events of the past few years, given the court cases, given the belligerent behavior in the debate. You thought there was no way that he could win. But he did. And he told you in advance what he was going to do. And you can protest 365 days of the year in all 50 states, and you can raise your voices and keep on crying as loud as you want, and not a G-damn thing is going to change. Why? Because the election is over, and you again missed your moment. So whatever happens, you allowed to happen, because you had every opportunity to make sure that it did not. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
Well, at least you've decided to listen to KFI. See, you're making progress.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.